A couple seconds up. Too late. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 96 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast on YouTube. My name is Dave Knittel, here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt Knittel, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. We are also joined by our friend Matthew Ridout, aka Soccernoob. Matthew, say hello so people can get a look at you.
Hello.
There you go. So that's Matthew. Christian, say hello so people can see you.
Hola.
There's Chris. Christian's the one on the left in the green there, and Matt Knittel, say hello.
Yeah,
hello. I'm on the left.
Well, for viewers, you're on stage left. No, for viewers, Christian's on stage left. Is it stage left? I don't know the proper terminology there. But people of YouTube, if you are here with us, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to interact with us. I have the comment section up here. If you have stuff you want us to talk about, or if you have suggestions or thoughts on what we are talking about, please feel free to let us know. And I think we are all good to go. Christian Knittel, you found a trivia question?
I did, David.
Good. I am so happy.
You said Christian Knittel as if you have to specify that I'm a different Christian.
I'm just using everybody's last name this episode. Everyone is getting a last name. Okay. Erwan. Okay, I got my timer here. Matthew Ridout, forgot to tell you this before. We try to keep the segments to like 15, 20 minutes. I have a timer here. I'll like hold it up. I'm not rushing you at all. It's just for like purposes of just frame of reference. All right.
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. So yeah, I don't want to rush you or anything like that, but just giving you the heads up. All right, I think we're good to go. So get excited, everyone. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 96 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, here with my two brothers, Christian and Matt Knittel, to discuss stories from around the soccer world. We are joined by a very special guest today, Matthew Ridout, aka Soccernoob on Twitter. Matthew, how you doing today?
Doing great. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about Soccernoob and your Soccernoob blog, please?
Well, the first thing I should say is that Soccernoob, while it is a fictional character, the one thing that is very, very real, that it becomes very, very obvious right away, is that I truly am noob to soccer. You guys grew up watching the game and playing the game, and I grew up in the middle of eastern Iowa playing exactly one summer of soccer when I was probably 10 years old. So the site has sort of been a documentation of my learning journey, learning about the leagues and the tournaments and blogging about them as I just try to figure out what the whole soccer world looks like. But it also doubles as an inside joke with a buddy of mine that I do sports gambling with, who didn't think I would write about soccer every day for a year.
Wow. Okay. So that sheds a little bit of light on things. And for anyone who doesn't follow him on Twitter, you definitely have to check him out. It's at Soccernoob USA. We have it linked in the video description and podcast show notes. And he really does write about like everything. I was reading your article the other day about the Oman League and what's going on in Liga MX Femenil and all of that stuff. So it's really just everything. And there's a huge kind of weird sense of humor, which I really appreciate and love. So you definitely have to go check him out. Christian Knittel, how you doing?
Dave, I had a good day yesterday in sports, and today not so much. My personal soccer team won 5-0, but then the Union and the Eagles both fell on their face, so it wasn't the best.
Yeah, it was disappointing. I'm still repping the Union with my jersey here, but that was a tough loss there. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Dave. Thanks for asking. Basketball started up this week. I'm excited about that. My Sixers are doing well.
I was there.
Soccer-wise, Man City had a great game, 5-0, I think it was this weekend. Union and Eagles did not do well, so not too happy about that.
Okay, guys, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for asking. I'm not actually doing fantastic. I'm a little bit down. The Eagles and Union didn't do too hot. Fantasy's going, fantasy American football's, not going great. So, combination of those things. But, the weather's beautiful out here and I can't really complain too much. Christian, sorry, I was going to go to you first for our trivia question, please.
All right, so there's one team that Brazil has ever played that they have not beaten. Can you name the team that's never lost to Brazil?
All right, that's a good trivia question. We will think on that, give our guesses at the end of the program, so please stick with us through that. And with that, Matt, it's over to you for Matt's time here on this podcast.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Welcome to Matt's time here on this podcast. It's going to be a short one here today. I only have one topic. Didn't follow soccer too much. Don't love the international break period, but
that
we'll
NBA, keeping you distracted.
Yeah.
Pesky NBA.
So much time. Yeah. So this week, Ulai Hoeneß, am I pronouncing that right, Dave?
Close enough. The president of FC Bayern.
Yeah, and Romanage, is that they both were in the media? Am I pronouncing that?
That one's definitely not right.
No, that one's definitely not right, but whatever. We know who you're kind of talking about. The executives at FC Bayern.
Yeah, they were in the week. Bayern's not having their typical dominant start to the year. I think starting yesterday. I think they were in 7th place. I want to say, but they had a game in hand and they won yesterday. I know that, so they probably moved up the table, but they're not dominating by their standards, and a lot's going on in the media, and their executives are kind of lashing out at the way their players have been treated. But at the same time, they Honus slammed Juan Bernat for being just this horrible Bayern player and them not getting transfers. Everyone was saying that all they've done is sold Bernat, and he was saying how horrible he was in the player, while simultaneously saying his player shouldn't be treated badly in the media while slamming another player. I'll start with who should I start with? I'll start with Dave. Yeah. So, do you think Bayern's handling this properly in the media?
No, no, they're not handling this at all. And also, you forgot to mention Honus completely, bashed Mesut Ozil and everything he went through in the media just a couple months ago. And so, no, he's not handling this well at all.
All right, Christian?
No, obviously I'm going to side with Dave on that one and say I don't know why he's being so hypocritical, David. I know you were struggling to find that word.
Oh, you're trying to make fun of me and you messed up. Oh, you hate to see that happen.
You were looking for that word earlier today. Yeah, it's really unprofessional if you ask me. And I don't know why he's going about it that way. Maybe it's because they're going through such a rough patch right now in transition, but he's just not handling his emotions well, and he's lashing out against players in the media.
Matthew, what about you?
Are you asking brother Matthew or the noob out in?
I am brother.
Yeah, are you
Matthew.
asking
Brother Matthew?
Noob.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we're going with you.
My one real thought on this is actually more of a question. The coach at Bayern right now is pretty new. This is his first year with the club, isn't it?
Yes.
He only has
They replaced him, so
yeah.
Whatever's going on, whether you want to term it handling or mishandling, what I'm afraid of is this guy's not going to get any benefit of the doubt. Does Bayern have a history of really being very patient on the rare occasions that they're having any sort of trouble in the table?
No.
Well, then it'll probably be fine.
Yeah. And so to add on to that, I mean, this might be a misdirection. A lot of times you hear this with a lot of managers come out and they say something, whether it's just completely out of left field to try to misdirect people and change the narrative of the storyline. So Honus is making this about him right now, and then, taking maybe some of the pressure and the focus off of the team. And so it's maybe a calculated move from him, but it's still, on the face of it, it's not warranted in any way. But you see this, like Jose Mourinho is really, fascinating from this perspective, where he tries to control the narrative and he'll do something in matches to, get the focus be on what he's doing rather than if he made a mistake or his players made a mistake. So it might be something like that.
All right. Well, my next question you kind of just covered. I was going to say, do you think it's ever okay for, executives or people high up in clubs to be speaking out against players in the media? Christian, I'll go with you.
Yeah, I think that sometimes, yeah, it is okay. It's their club. They own it. I don't think that it's necessarily right, but I think they do have their own right to speak their mind when they're upset about something. And if they decide they want to approach it by bringing it to the media, that's on them. I don't think that's how it should be done. But, I mean, each player reacts differently to their criticisms.
Yeah, I agreed. Matthew, our noob.
I assume that every ownership group that's just made out of money wants one thing, and that is to see their toy, that is their club, succeed. And while Dave was talking about coaches and even owners doing misdirection, putting attention on themselves, it makes me think of the old coach from Indiana, Bob Knight, from NCAA basketball, throwing chairs and doing all sorts of things. That was to take attention away from the players. But if you're putting attention on the players, that's added on to what they're already doing, I don't understand what the purpose of that is.
Yeah, I think right now it's just because they're struggling that they are lashing out. Is there anything you guys want to add to this topic? Oh, actually, last question. Do you guys think they'll end up winning the Bundesliga this year? Do you think they'll figure it out? Dave?
I hope not. I just want to see somebody else win. I mean, I really want to see Dortmund pull through and see if they can keep it going because, I mean, they're flying right now. So I hope not.
That didn't answer the question.
Yeah, so you don't...
I answer my own questions. No, they will not win. I'll say Dortmund finds a way to get it done.
Christian?
They will 100% win.
All right. Noob, any idea?
No idea, though, because Pulisic is one of the few players who I feel like I have any real familiarity with. I'm finding myself by default rooting for Dortmund at least.
All right, fair enough. I think Bayern's still going to pull through this year, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than it has been in recent years past. Well, if no one else, what? Okay. Well, if no one else has anything to say, listen to some music, and thanks for joining me at Matt's time here on this podcast.
All right, good stuff. That was like 10 minutes, including my intro. So that's a real quick intro. Hello, Teresa. I'm not sure what this comment means, but welcome. Feel free to keep sending us comments. Hope you like soccer. And yeah, it says, I love you, Sarang Guy. Does anybody have any idea what the hell that might mean?
What?
No, I love you, Saranghae.
I went to high school with the guy.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, but thanks, welcome, and stick with me here through this partner plug. Hey everybody, what's going on? Dave here. Wanted to give a quick plug for our partner, StadiumScene.tv. Christian, what can people do on StadiumScene.tv?
Well, I know they can go to any type of like sporting event or stadium that they may be traveling to and look up what to do in that area. What are the best restaurants to go to? What like events can you attend? It's a really good time. You really should check that out.
Absolutely. And in addition to that, what else does StadiumScene.tv offer, Matthew?
They offer things like
all right. They offer other stuff like content, including blog posts, YouTube videos, podcasts, and so much more. All different kinds of sports. It's not just specific to soccer. They also have basketball, that's starting up, hockey, baseball, all of the major American sports. And they also have, some of the lesser known sports, NASCAR and things like that. Nothing against NASCAR. I know it's a hugely popular thing, so nobody come at me for that. But you definitely want to go check out StadiumScene.tv for all of your sporting needs. Again, we love those guys and really appreciate them being a partner of us. So check out StadiumScene.tv. All right, that went well.
Matt was just like,
I know. I saw him shaking his head, but I was going to him anyways.
I knew what I was going to
Print
say.
your sponsorship.
There you go. Yeah, we're also sponsored by Jesus.
Yeah, I knew what we were supposed to say, but then Christian already started laughing by that point.
Okay. All right. Well, that was good. Anyways, Christian, you good to do your section now?
yes, let me just pull up my topics again because I will forget them.
/ watch the end of this Cowboys-Redskins game.
Okay. Well, let's focus here.
Oh, come on, Cowboys. I got Prescott in my fantasy team.
He's driving down the field right now.
They just get made into field goal range.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, let's focus here.
Hey, it's not me.
It's not me. It's not my section.
It is you, Christian.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
We
okay,
ready?
you guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready. We're waiting on you.
Okay. Here are my topics. Ready? Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome back from that little musical break. I am here with Matt, Dave, and Matthew, as you all knew. But I wanted to just refresh that, just in case, you just hopped right into Christian's corner.
Okay.
Sometimes that happens. Some people just want to get to my section because, everybody knows why.
I have started including timestamps, so theoretically people could do that.
People probably do that.
Yep, do.
Do. All right, so we're going to move right into these topics here. So let's go. Number one, this year's El Clasico, which is, I think, next weekend, will have no Messi and no Ronaldo. This is the weirdest thing I think I've seen in a long time. It's not going to feel right. It's the first time in 11 years we're having this type of game without those superstars. What do you guys think? I'll hop to Dave first here. What do you think that's good? All right, never mind. No, I'm going to Dave because I want to. Dave.
Yes.
What do you think of no Messi, no Ronaldo, the biggest superstars in the world for the biggest match on earth?
Well, I mean, Father Time catches up to everybody. So this was inevitable at some point. Ronaldo's no longer in the league, and Messi is getting older. I mean, that injury was a freak injury. It looked pretty nasty, and hopefully he heals quickly. I know he's going to be out for, I think I saw 3 weeks. But yeah, I mean, this was bound to happen. I think Real Madrid is seriously struggling, and Barcelona, though they haven't been flying high, they just beat Sevilla and they're back on top of the table. I think Barcelona's got to be favorites in this match.
Matt, what do you think it's going to be like without the 2 stars? And I guess we're doing predictions as well.
Well, I didn't know what to answer. You didn't.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. It just doesn't have, the pizzazz it used to. Pizzazz.
Razzle dazzle.
Wait, I'm sorry. Time out. Were those jazz hands?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Spirit fingers.
Spirit finger. Yeah, you always got to throw them up. But I think, both clubs still have like a shot and are probably some of the biggest teams. But it's not like these two are necessarily the only 2 big teams like they were for the last couple of years. When Messi and Ronaldo were there, it seemed like it was consensus that either one of those teams was the best. And now I feel like Barcelona's struggling a little bit, and now with him hurt, they're not struggling, but they don't come across as the Barcelona that we've seen over the last
struggling
decade.
right into first place.
Yeah,
but they're not dominant.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So I think that reason it's gonna lose a little bit of maybe its viewership, or maybe people aren't as excited for the match. But I mean, it's still a matchup of the top 2 of clearly the top 10 teams in the world.
All right. Any thoughts over there, Noob?
I'll throw in one point that I'm rooting for Madrid because they've got Gareth Bale, one of the few international footballers that I know very much about it all. Because when I first started paying attention 2 World Cups ago, Wales was doing pretty good for a change, which is weird because I know their league stinks, so it doesn't seem like it's a very good football area. So I'm pulling for Madrid. But what I'm most curious about with that league is Real Madrid, I'm looking at the table right now, they're all the way down in 7th. Are the defensive teams going to be able to catch up with like Sevilla? Madrid. Is Madrid being able to catch up with both Barcelona and Sevilla, who seem to be just like scoring like it's pinball?
I think that if they catch form, there's no doubt Madrid will catch up to everyone else other than maybe Barcelona at this point. But they really don't look like they have that opportunity right now. I saw Conte's name, who's being thrown around as an opportunity to be the manager if they do fire. I think Lopetegui. I don't actually know how to pronounce his name.
Lopetegui, I think.
Okay. I really, I just think that they have the quality to catch up. They have so much talent, and just because Ronaldo's not there doesn't really mean much. They have incredible players at international level, and they would be able to catch up. But all right, I'm just going to chime in with my Messi versus Ronaldo thing first before we move along with that. I mean, I think it's really, like, tough. I think it's going to be a really different type of game than we've ever seen before. We're usually looking at those two to provide that magic moment to change the entire game. I don't know. Do you guys not do that when you watch that game?
Ever before? Like these clubs didn't exist.
I mean, they
15 years
didn't
ago.
really compared to like how they are now. But yeah, no, I mean, it's weird for us. I mean, 11 years is a long time. I don't know. I wasn't really following it before the 2 of them really became stars, and they kind of made this game what it was. I know this game has existed forever and incredibly competitive, but for the last 11 years, it's been about them.
Yeah, for the last 11 years, I would agree with that. But yeah, there is a ton of history behind this game. So I don't want to just, say that it didn't exist or it didn't have the same intensity before that. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Maybe someone else will make, maybe it's like Asensio versus who's Barcelona's probably
Coutinho, maybe coming up.
Maybe like Asensio versus Dembele if they take over for the next. I mean, I doubt those duos ever going to repeat like 11 years, but
No.
I mean, maybe someone's going to rise to the occasion.
Well, I think it's going to be back to the teams rather than the individual players. Like, yes, the teams are always a big deal, but it also was Messi versus Ronaldo over the last few years. Now I think it's going to revert back to it's just these two powerhouses in La Liga.
Yeah, and I think right now that Barcelona is clearly favorited in that game. I think they're way, way, way better in the current situation, and I even think that they're more talented at the moment. I know that
even without Messi.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too.
I think so, especially with the manager. I'm not sold on Valverde, but I'm also definitely not sold on Lopetegui, who was fired from Spain the day before the World Cup. Yeah. Anything else you guys have to add on this topic?
No.
All right. Moving along. We're going to go to one of our favorites here on the podcast, Jose Mourinho. He's at it again, everybody. He's out on the bench, drawing attention to himself. This one, I actually don't think is his fault for the first time ever. They gave up a goal. Manchester United was playing Chelsea this past weekend, for anyone who doesn't know. They gave up a goal, Man United did, in the 96th minute against Chelsea. That was the equalizing goal in a 2-2 draw. The assistant coach of Chelsea ran over and celebrated and pumped his fist right in front of Jose Mourinho's face, almost hit him type of close. Then Mourinho
It wasn't that close. Let's be clear.
I think it was.
Okay.
So, and then on his way back, so Mourinho didn't react to that. On his way back, he kind of got in his face again and was like, ah. And that's exactly what he did, in case you were wondering. So he starts walking, and Mourinho just freaked out and starts chasing after him. Everybody gets involved, holding everybody back. I was kind of hoping no one was going to get held back and we would see a real fight. But I think Jose would get his ass kicked if that happens, so I don't think they would ever allow it. What do you think of this, Matt? How did you think this all went down, and do you think that the reaction was okay?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what was said between them, but I mean, the celebration by the Chelsea assistant, he was an assistant, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was completely inappropriate. I mean, to say inappropriate, it was definitely a dick move to do. I'll say that. It's a game, you know. He was pumped up about it. It's not like he should be I don't think he should necessarily be fined or the club should be in trouble for his action. But I mean, it was just kind of just celebrating in someone's face. Sometimes you just do that. It's good old rivalry.
Yeah.
And what did you think of the way Jose handled it?
I don't think he did.
Did you see what he said? No. What did you think of how he responded to the media when they were asking him about it after? Did you see that?
I don't recall.
Okay. Well, he was saying, I talked to Sarri, and he said he'll deal with it, and the guy came to my room and apologized, and if he's sincere, I accept apologies. Does that surprise you that Mourinho reacted that way?
No. He's acting like a human being.
I don't think so. That shocks me to my core. That is absolutely ridiculous.
24/7.
He is an ass 24/7. I don't know what you're talking about. He's a psychopath. All right, Dave, what do you think of this whole situation?
Yeah, well, like Matt said, I think your emotions get the best of you. I mean, you're in a high, intense pressure situation. I've had moments of weakness on the field or whatnot where you yell at a player or, something happens and you look back on it and you're like, oof, I wish I... No, not even the red card. The red card wasn't necessarily that. I was thinking of I was man-marked in a game back in ninth grade, and this kid was just following me all over and just hacking me. And then I scored a really nice goal, and we were still losing, but I just he was right on me, and I just screamed in his face, just how do you like that? Whatever. I was 15, not the best trash talk, but looking back, I was just what am I doing with that? Or you have other situations where you take a player out, and then because they've been kicking you and all that stuff. But I think it was just a situation where the assistant let the emotions get the better of him. And once cooler heads prevailed after the match, he apologized and everybody was adults and moved on. I mean, I really don't think there's much more of a story here. I don't think the assistant should lose his job. I think people are saying that. I don't think Chelsea should be fined or any more punishments. I mean, it was a 96-minute equalizer. There's a ton of emotion there. Let people celebrate. And, sometimes people take it a little bit too far, and if they own up to it, I'm fine with them, moving on.
Yeah, and I agree that it should be handled internally, and I think that it was approached correctly. It seemed like Sarri was actually upset with his assistant for doing that, which, again, we'll go back to Sarri from last week where we are talking about. I feel like he just loves everybody else. He's just like the happiest in the world, and he like just wants everybody to be happy and okay. But yeah, I'll hop to Matthew Noob over there. Did you see any of this happen this weekend?
No, I don't watch television.
Oh, okay.
I did, but I will say this: whatever leads to Mourinho keeping his job is what I want to see happen. Because between Mourinho, the unlikelihood, and Arsene Wenger, the unlikelihood, it's Arsene Wenger that I want to see magically move over and be the U.S. men's national team coach. So whatever answers we can come up with that lead to that, that's what I'm in favor of.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Fourth in qualification and try and go through an extra round of qualifying.
It's a nice Arsenal fourth place joke there. Good one.
Anything else you have to add on this topic, anybody?
No.
Good? All right.
Good.
Here's my final topic here. Wayne Rooney and DC United are on fire. Oh, my God. Play them right now. I hope we don't play them in the first round of the playoffs, but it's looking like that's an actual possibility that it could happen. Did they officially today when they won? I think
they're in fifth right now.
Yeah, I think they officially qualified, right?
Yeah. They're qualified, and Columbus is falling off the rails. Like Montreal may be able to pass them. Right now, we would play DC United in a game. Philadelphia Union, for anyone who doesn't know who we are.
The Union hosting DC in that game, right?
Yeah, but things are going to change over the next week.
Yeah. So yeah, they're just red hot right now. Do you guys think that they have a real legitimate shot at MLS Cup in the playoffs? And do you think that Wayne Rooney can be considered the best player in the league right now based off of current form and just his natural talent? Matt, I'll go first. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. Obviously, since Wayne Rooney, like the stats and how DC United has performed since Rooney got there, they were in like 11th place when 10th or 11th, right?
Yep.
We're in last place for like 15 weeks of the season, which is like unheard of.
Yeah, and then they completely turned around. They're scoring a lot of goals now. Whoa.
All right. We got an echo there, but I think we're okay.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, Rooney's scoring a lot of goals now. DC United's playing so well, and obviously I think he's the main factor there. So I think he could be considered the best player in the MLS. I mean, Ibarra's had a great year. Martinez in Atlanta. They've had great years, but
Dave looks like he's in physical pain right now.
What?
Listen, I'm a huge fan of Rooney, but the fact that he's not the best player in MLS. Let's just hands down. I mean, Joseph Martinez and Miguel Almiron are the best players by far, and you could probably list 5 other players that are better on the whole. He has had a great half of season, but for me, no, he's not the best player. But sorry, continue.
I was just gonna say, I think because of what he's done for his team, I think he should be considered. He's playing for one of the, the worst teams, and kind of brought them to the playoffs.
Dave, go ahead.
So they had a ton of away games to start the season. They opened up a brand new stadium. They had a ton of home games in the backstretch that coincided with Rooney coming there. So they haven't, I think he's only played on the road. I want to say it's only like 3 or 4 times. I could have my stats wrong, but it's some ridiculous number where they haven't really been challenged too much. And so you had all this fan support from playing at home, launching a new stadium, him signing, and that's encouraged them. Again, I don't want to dismiss this. I wrote an article saying I thought he was going to be a success when he first signed for our friend 2 Foot Talk, Anthony. So go check out his stuff. But I still don't think he's the best player in MLS. He's having a good stretch of matches, but at the end of the day, he's not the best player in MLS for me.
Okay. Matt Noob, do you have any comments on DC United or Wayne Rooney being the best player?
Both. I'm not sure what the score was today, but I know in the previous 4 games that DC had won, I believe they only allowed 1 goal. So independent of how good Wayne Rooney is playing right now, and it is really, really good, it seems like, and because they'll have to go on the road and in any sport defense travels, that it's actually, I'm blanking on the goalie's name, but they've got a good back line and a pretty good goalie. I think the defense is what's going to make likely that DC advances. As good as Rooney is, I don't think he and Acosta are both going to be lighting it up. I think teams tend to play any sport tight to the chest when it comes to postseason time, and I think it's going to be the defense that actually wins it out for them.
And that's a fantastic point, because Rooney's signing coincided with Bill Hamid coming back to the club too. He went over to Denmark, couldn't get time, and then he came back to the club, and they had their goalie situation sort of stabilized as well. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, I heard one of the best Bill Hamid chants ever when I was at the DC United game, but I cannot repeat it on this podcast.
Okay, that's good. So let's leave it that way.
Side note. I think that they are legitimate. I think that they're going to be a tough team to play against, but I don't really rate their defense that highly. I know they're playing well right now, but we really haven't seen them tested on the road in a long time. So if they do go to a team like the Union, who are also in pretty good form right now, and they're at home, you never know. Even though the Union have never won a postseason match in their entire history, you don't know what's going to happen. And when I don't want to talk about it any further than that. You don't know what's going to happen on any given day.
Yeah, sorry. So we could kind of, or for me, I just morphed into only talking about Rooney. So DC United making a legit run to MLS Cup. I mean, any team can get hot. We saw it with Seattle when they won, but I still think the Red Bulls and Atlanta are just so much better than every other team in the Eastern Conference that I think they're the clear favorites. So I would be shocked if DC United makes MLS Cup.
Yeah, but you never know. Again, like Union played Red Bulls twice this year, and they played twice this year, and it was a 1-0 over 2-leg aggregate game.
Yeah, what they were talking on the broadcast today, Union haven't scored against Red Bull in something like 400 minutes or something like that in the regular season. So that's obviously not ideal.
Yeah, that's not what you want. I'll tell you that. Anything else you guys have to add on DC or Rooney or anything else along in my topics here?
No, that exhausts probably 70% of my knowledge of all soccer is on that team.
That's really why I had this section here. That's why everybody comes to Christian's Corner, to just get all of their thoughts out. All right. I hope you all enjoyed your time here today. It was enjoyable for me. It looks like it was enjoyable for these guys. And all you listeners, I hope you enjoyed it too. Here's some little music here.
Little music. Okay.
Listen to some music, and we'll be back with our last section.
All right. Good stuff. Awesome. Y'all. You went with a y'all in there. That was interesting.
Y'all.
All right.
Wait, was that me that did the y'all or somebody else?
No, that was Christian did a y'all.
Oh, because I've been afraid I would do a y'all. I'm not from this part of the country, but I've lived in Kentucky with my wife who's from here for 5 years, and I occasionally drop a y'all, much to my shame.
Hey, you could say whatever. It was just Christian never says that, so I was a little surprised at where that was coming from.
Y'all?
Y'all.
The spirit moved him.
Yes. All right. I got to do one more plug for another one of our partners, Christian and/or Matt. Do you want to be involved?
Which one is this?
FNX.network.
I've never even heard of them.
Okay. All right. No? Okay. So it'll just be me?
I don't know this one. I know the other one because we've
been doing it. That's fine. Oh, am I getting an echo here? No. Okay. Echo. What's going on, everyone? Dave breaking in again with another one of our partner announcements, FNX.network. FNX.network is a website you want to check out that has stories and podcasts about all different kinds of topics. They have sports, entertainment, video games, lifestyle, tech, and more. Again, check them out on FNX.network. They have our stuff over there as well as tons of other awesome content you should check out. Go check out FNX.network today. Awesome. All right, Soccernoob, do you want to welcome people back from the break? Do you want me to welcome and then kick it over to you? How would you like to handle?
I don't want to hijack your show. Why don't you start it off, and I'll decide whether or not I want to launch in with my fake intentionally bad theme song for my section.
All right. I like that.
Look, brothers, I told you it might get weird. Warnings were issued.
I'm excited. I can't tell you how excited I am. I don't know how the other two are going to handle this, and I'm also excited for watching them handle it. So, yeah.
I just wish it would be easier to take if my daughter were here. She's 6, and she is now on my staff, and we just call her Person Noob, and she loves it because she's new to being a person, just like I'm new to being a soccer fan.
Oh, I like it. So yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, so I'll welcome people back, and then we'll launch into it. All right. Welcome back, everyone, from that break. I hope you enjoyed our partner plug. I'm going to kick it over to Matthew, aka Soccer Noob, for his section here.
Okay, so just to make sure that I stay on form with what you guys are doing, your sections are Christian's Corner. What's Matt's called?
Matt's time here.
Matt's time here. And yours is just Dave's, right?
Mine's just Dave's, yes.
Well, I am Soccer Noob. If my daughter, Person Noob, who is 6, were here, she would help me with the theme song because we've been practicing for the podcast. She's been very excited. Soccer Noob, Rockin America. Soccer players, goal posts. You need those. Look of confusion. Soccer Noob, Rockin America. It ends on an upward inflection so that we can then go into a sponsorship like the Dr. Pepper that I'm drinking. I want Shadow Stevens to voice it.
All right. Sounds great.
So, for the record, by the way, and we just covered this, I've issued warnings to the brothers that those sorts of things were coming. So, podcast audience, welcome to it. Part number 1 for Soccer Noob Rocking America actually touches base on something that intrigued me last week because I'm not real familiar with play on the pitch, not having been a player myself, but I am most interested with things kind of around soccer, if you will. You guys were talking about the Ballon d'Or last week and what all goes on with that and how it's – and what I wanted to find out, because you guys didn't seem real sure, was how it was voted on or who was voting on it. I think you guys did mention last week that the magazine, France Football, and I don't know the French translation, is the one that sort of hosts the Ballon d'Or, the player of the year, that it is their brainchild. I did a little bit of research, and I found, interestingly, that while it is not just journos of theirs that do the voting, the journalists that they pick, despite the fact that anybody from any league or federation in the world can win this award, are only from the biggest 4, the countries that host the biggest 4 domestic leagues in the country. France, England, Spain, and Germany. Was that something that got touched on last week, or is that any... do you guys have anything to add or know anything about that?
No, that's new information for me. Guys, any thoughts?
I didn't know that was an actual legitimate rule.
There's actually a couple other things I discovered that are interesting about it. Now, while all those guys get to vote, and they obviously don't all work for France Football, it is the publication France Football that actually decides who the top 30 candidates are that everybody else can vote on. It's not just, everybody just sends in their 3 best. They are given a list of 30. Not that there should be any surprises outside of that 30, but I didn't realize that there would be somebody sending everybody a list and that they could only vote on the people from that list. Another interesting point I ran into was, just to give you an idea of the numbers, last year there were 176 people that voted on everything. I was actually surprised at what a small number this was. Did you guys have any sense of the number of people who voted on it? Was that covered last time?
No, I thought it was hundreds, but yeah, I'm surprised that it's less than 200.
There might be hundreds that can, but only 176 people actually bothered to vote. And then maybe the most intriguing thing to me, if not necessarily surprising, was let's say, Christian, let's say that you're a voter and you are a big Ronaldo fan?
No.
Yeah, he's a huge Ronaldo fan. No, he's a huge Ronaldo fan.
I am very much not. Very much.
Okay, so let's say that you're voting for Ronaldo because you clearly love him so much. You might actually decide to not only give Ronaldo your 5 points, which you would so happily do, gift wrapped in a bow, being such a big fan, but you might actually not vote for Messi for even second or third just to increase his chances of winning the vote. And it turns out that not only is this a really common strategy, it's not even considered outside the bounds of fair play. If you want your guy to win and you think you know who the top competitor is and you're a voter, just leave him off your ballot. Then he doesn't get any second or third place points. And that's been going on pretty much since the inception of the award. And nearly as I can tell, it's never a big deal to these guys, at least on the inside. I don't know how the players feel about it if they know the specifics. But
I think players care more than the others.
That could very well be. Okay, if there's nothing else for that one, I can move on to topic number 2.
Sure. Let me just, yeah, sure. But, so there you have it. Like, so these awards that are given out by these different organizations, I mean, I like that you've been highlighting that basically, you know, it's not just straightforward. It's not just like this person like really kind of deserved it. And there's all this kind of politicking going on behind the scenes. And so, yeah, I appreciate you highlighting all of that.
Definitely not words.
Yeah, it's no different than the Oscars, the Grammys, the Golden Globes. It is all politicking. I think we can all agree that is the new acceptable pronunciation. Dave's Media Empires, the new Ted Turner, he gets to decide how that's going to be pronounced.
Yep, exactly.
All right, topic number 2. Dave, I know that you did some looking up on this, so I'm actually going to defer to you first and then fill in with anything I found out, or we can just talk about it. But it's a little bit on the heavier side, and I don't want to linger on it too long, but I had never heard of Mexican female professional pioneer, and I'm going to think her name is Marbella Ibarra. Does it sound like I'm saying that right?
Yeah, that's how I would have pronounced it.
All right, you want to tell us a little bit about what you learned about Marbella?
Yes, so she had a beauty salon in Mexico. I want to say it was in the city of Tijuana, and she has no experience playing soccer or anything like that, but she started a women's team in the city for just to give girls an opportunity to play soccer. And at the time, there was no league in Mexico, and so the team that she started actually played in the United States League for a couple of years, and eventually she was one of the people that really pushed Liga MX to start a sister league. Liga MX Femenil is how I'm going to pronounce it. I could be pronouncing that wrong. And Tijuana was one of the pioneering teams in that. Her daughter or niece, I could have it, I think it's her niece, is a Liga MX player. She plays for Atlas, and she's also a national team star for the Mexican national team. She was recently kidnapped and brutally murdered. She was tortured and murdered, and they don't know why. Early indications are it's not related to soccer, but we really don't have a ton of details behind it. It's just a really, really sad story. I didn't know anything about this person until this story came out. And so it's really sad that I'm only just learning about her now.
Yeah, it really highlights that whole part of Mexico, in Baja California, Tijuana, the suburb that she and her family are from, Rosarito or Rosarito. I'm not sure what the ending vowel is. But like 2017, the murder rate went up like 80%, and then the first half of this year, the murder rate spiked again, another 44% just in the first half of the year. American tourists are being warned about going there. I found the same information that it doesn't remotely appear related to her. To her sports, and if she's made any money off her sports, it doesn't seem that. She was kidnapped a month before her body was found, but there was no ransom demands made or anything like that. So it could have been a robbery gone wrong, or it's hard to say what. But yeah, I was fascinated to find out that she used, just how great she was and how she got started. Her family actually had a salon, a hair salon in Rosarito, and her family allowed her to use the money from that to start an amateur club. FC Ismara, and then the first high-end amateur women's team in Mexico, and then that team she coached, and they nearly beat the U20 Mexican World Cup team. They lost 2-1 in a really closely contested match, and that game and that result is what got the attention of somebody at FC Tijuana, and led to the formation of Las Zolas that eventually, as you said, played in the WPSL, the United States, for a year. And then I hadn't realized until I read this that Liga MX Femenil was only 2 years old. So kind of as wacky as my site gets, and is just as much of an outlet as it is for anybody who's seen the site, for my clear lack of a therapist, I found it interesting to find some serious information and really learn something about our CONCACAF neighbors. Dave, do you have anything that you want to add that you discovered on that?
No, nothing beyond what I've already highlighted. I mean, she was a true pioneer. It's absolutely terrible and horrific what happened to her, and hopefully, there's some justice brought. And it's really sad that this happened, but she was just such an incredible woman and, really huge pioneer for Mexican soccer. And, I know the Mexican women's team hasn't always been the strongest in CONCACAF, but now that they have a league, I know they just missed out on World Cup qualification for next year, but, I think it would only be good for the U.S. to have a better Mexican team to compete against for, to keep, U.S. at the top of their game from a women's perspective.
Agreed. More local competition would be very, very good for them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are we ready for topic number 3?
Yeah,
I am.
I see nodding, which is really great for the podcast.
Yeah, I'm ready, guys. Are you still alive over there?
No, I meant nodding. Yes, not that they were nodding asleep, which I won't say whether or not they are for those only listening to the podcast side. Topic number 3, another one that you guys touched on last week, Usain Bolt. At 32 years old, I am just fascinated by the fact that he is trying to switch sports because I don't think he played anything but recreationally in Jamaica at any point in his youth. So this isn't him going back to something that, he had any serious aspirations about. He is just jumping in. I know he has been training with Central Coast Mariners of the A-League in Australia, their top flight, which just got started up within the last couple of days. That Usain is not playing yet. He has not signed a contract with them. So he is still, and there's not a new signing period in Australia or a registration period until early January. So he just gets to train with them for a little while. So he has already gotten one professional contract offer. Did you guys talk about that last time?
Not really.
Yeah, it was pretty big time. I know he wants to play for one of the Manchester teams, but he's having to wait. He got a 2-year contract offer from defending Maltese club champions FC Vallette, which I knew would just draw tears. I couldn't figure out which of the brothers would be the biggest fan of FC Vallette over in Malta, and now I'm still finding myself wondering. But what I found interesting is going on with Usain is actually Mariners do want to offer him a contract, but they're one of the, if not the smallest market team in all of Australia, being in New South Wales. Like their suburb, which is like 80 miles from Sydney, only has 4,000 people in it, yet they're playing top flight. Well, the FFA, the Australian Federation, has apparently some sort of rainy day fund, for lack of a better term, that they can raid for pretty much any purpose they want. Central Coast Mariners want to offer Usain Bolt a contract that would be worth $3 million in Australia, or the only translation I found for that was about 1.5 million British pounds.
Wow.
But the FFA is saying, no, we don't want any part of, we desperately want the attention for our league, but we don't want to fork over that kind of money. So my question for you guys on this topic is this. Since he is not apparently going to end up with Central Coast Mariners, and so far has eschewed the offer, though it's still on the table, for 2 years in wonderful subtropical Malta, where do you think, if anywhere, that Usain Bolt could end up, or where would you like to see him go?
Christian?
I have no idea where he's going to end up. I hope he does make it at like some type of professional team, just because it would be really cool to say the fastest man in history actually played soccer too, and it'll bring a lot of attention to whatever league he does join, but it will not be a big team. I'll tell you that much.
I think he has a chance to be playing, professional soccer, and I think it would be awesome. Obviously, he's getting chances with like a couple of these clubs now. It'd be awesome, I think, if he could end up in like the USL with like or like a lower, American thing, or lower American division, and I think that's like it could get people to care about the lower leagues, because like I brought this up last week, but like the Tim Tebow effect, like people actually started like paying attention to a minor league baseball team, whereas it was something that probably wouldn't have gotten attention before, and I think that was what Usain Bolt would bring.
Yeah, you're spot on there. The Las Vegas Lights owner has already come out and said like they would offer him a contract. Like he is made to be on that team. You got Freddie Adu, there sending him balls in at like you got Eric Ronaldo, who's now the GM and technical director.
Ronaldo
as well as
would pull out all his hair.
I know. It's just that whole, just the drama of all of that is just perfect for Las Vegas. And it also fits with like his level. Like we saw him playing, he looked okay, but I know he was playing against like an amateur team and he was part of the second team in some of the highlights. Like he's simply not at the level of a first division. I don't even know. I don't watch too much A-League, but I got to imagine he's not at even that level. I don't think he's anywhere near MLS level, but USL level. I mean, there's a wide range of talents in that, and he may fit in well there. So I think a league like that, or a second or third division in a smaller European country, like Matt said, for marketing purposes, it may fit him well.
Well, I think the most important thing is that, and Usain Bolt, if you're listening or watching, and I'm really hoping you are, I want to tell you, if you haven't already discovered, what all the reasons that you need to get the fruit out of Gosford, which is the 4,000 person suburb of New South Wales and is in. I can tell you a little bit about Gosford. It was founded in 1825, and 50 of the first 100 people there were convicts. You know what those convicts do, guys? Convicts have babies. This is a city of somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 convict babies. We need to get Usain Bolt out of Gosford, north of Sydney, in New South Wales. Plus, he's never going to be the biggest athlete there. Paralympian bicyclist Anthony Biddle calls Gosford, New South Wales, Australia home. And just because the fastest man in the world is now being the fastest guy on a soccer field, if you think that is going to be somehow bigger than a tandem bicyclist doing, was it Paralympics or Special Olympics? I don't even know which it was. And I'll probably get hate mail if anything ever comes in for screwing that up. But for the love of God, Bros Talking Soccer, we need to get Usain Bolt out of New South Wales. And that is all for Soccer Rocking America, which had almost no American soccer in it at all.
All right. Yeah, we did sneak in a little bit of American soccer at the end there, but hopefully you enjoyed that time, and that was absolutely fantastic. Before we get to our listener questions, I wanted to give a quick plug for one of my projects, the Soccer Tavern, which is a YouTube channel making videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. Go check that out. We have it linked in the podcast description and video description and podcast show notes. Those are the words I'm looking for. We have all different kinds of videos on there, club history videos for the 20 English Premier League teams, as well as the 3 teams from last year. We have terminology videos on why it's called a pitch or why it's called a nutmeg and so on and so forth. So we have about 65 videos or so. Additionally, we just started a podcast for the Soccer Tavern where we have the audio from those videos as podcasts. So go subscribe to that, rate and review. I would really, really appreciate it. Again, it's on the Soccer Tavern YouTube channel as well as the Soccer Tavern podcast. You can find it, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. So let's get to our listener questions now. First one comes to us from @It'sADeal. That is our friend Drew, who's been on the podcast before. The only important topic to discuss is who's got the best beard. I think we need an in-depth analysis from Soccernoob. So for a little bit of context here, I recently developed a shirt. We're selling shirts for Bros Talking Soccer. If you want to support the podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you go check that out. And I sketched it myself, and it's a design of the 3 of us with our silhouettes with our beards there. So Soccernoob, I don't know if you want to weigh in on this question here first.
Oh, please. It's not precisely about soccer. It means it gives me a chance to actually, say something credible. Maybe. First of all, you're a beautiful young man, Matt, but it's hard for me to tell that you have very much, and I'm a married guy, so please don't take that the wrong way. It doesn't look like you have a ton of facial hair going on, but I will say in general, at least from your screenshot on Twitter, the picture that's on there, when you're still and from just the right angle, you look like Mark Duplass from the league to me. So while you're not going to win the beard award, I want to give you honorable mention for kind of sort of looking like Mark Duplass. So way to go on that. Thumbs up. Between Matt and Dave, it is such a tough call. Dave, I think Dave looks like he uses a lot of actual professional, he goes to the barber and they try to upsell him on facial hair care products, and he looks like he takes advantage. Spends probably, what do you say, brothers? Does he spend between 30 minutes and an hour just dealing with the beard? Would that be reasonable?
If you see him in person, you'll know he doesn't take care of it.
No,
Okay,
I
fair
actually
enough.
do. So I
the
get.
phone. Now, but on the other hand, while on my here on the stream, for some reason it looks a little rougher, a little less tamed, if you will, which I'm sure the ladies love. Christian has a little bit more of a Russell Crowe look going on. For those of you only catching the podcast side, he's doing a Vanna White and like displaying his face, putting his hand underneath. Yeah, Vanna, show us a vowel, please. Dave, I thank you so much for inviting me to the podcast, and I hope this doesn't affect your feelings, but I love the movie Mystery Alaska. I'm going with Christian's beard because he looks a little bit like Russell Crowe in that capacity.
Yes, yes,
go.
I would agree with that. I'm definitely jealous of Christian's facial hair. I can't grow it right in here, which is always self-conscious about that. So yeah, there's that. If you want to check out our facial hair, please check out our shirts. Again, it's linked in the podcast description and video show notes.
Or
watch the video. Yeah. Please buy a shirt. Yeah, I'll do my plea in a little bit here. Next question is from @lads_podcast. Care to confirm or deny reports that Gingers are in fact back, thanks to Josh Sargent? Matt, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think since Alexi Lawless became, the big man in the media, I feel like Gingers have been making their comeback. I mean, Sargent now, De Bruyne. I mean, I think they've been on their way.
Christian, thoughts?
Well, my friends Andy and Adam, who play for my Colonial soccer team, hopefully they're tuning in. They're playing very, very well as we've continued to win games for Colonial Soccer Club. So, and Gingers are back.
Noob, any thoughts here?
I want to make a joke about curtains matching drapes, but I don't know how to relate it to soccer, so no.
All right. I think we're all really excited, and congrats to Sargent. I think he's promoted to the Werder first team, so hopefully he's going to be making a breakthrough soon. And I couldn't be more excited about that because we need more depth at center forward in our pool. Next question comes to us from @WorldHotspur. That's our friend Will. Check out worldhotspur.com for all your information about Tottenham. So we need the full story behind Noobstradamus for starters. Also, why did each of you start supporting the clubs you support? So, I know I have questions for you as well, Noob. So let's go to you first. Story behind Noobstradamus.
All right. Well, for those who have not seen the site, which is a lot of people, Noobstradamus is my alter ego Noob, main writer character's alter ego, who is the stolen avatar from Vitruvius from the Lego movie, who I have turned into a 3,000 to 4,000 year old soccer prognosticator. He every so often he has very strange visions that teach us a little bit about the history of clubs, or something about the history of their locales, or sometimes it's just about cigarette smuggling across the Black Sea. That has appeared. And then he does a very, very bad job picking soccer games. I don't know if he's fun to read, but he's sure fun to write.
And so along those lines, so each day you're picking 10 games from around the world, right? And how do you choose which games you're going to end up writing about?
Yes, the 10 to track, 10 mini match previews for the games that I think are most important for, as in my mission statement that I was trying to put in, the 10 most important games to follow for us, the newish American fans of the global game. I try to pick teams that are in the top quarter of their league, where there's two of them facing off. I start in America, go over to Europe, South America. On Fridays, when I do Globetrotting Friday, I might pick, like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, games from Oman or Australia or New Zealand. You just never know what's going to come up. And it always starts local and then expands out into the leagues that tend to be most important, I think, to guys like you who actually follow soccer for a long time and have grown up with the game.
Yeah, and honestly, I know we've been joking. It seemed a little weird, but I can't recommend it enough because it really does do a good job of informing you on what's going on in soccer around the world, and there's a lot of humor in there as well. So I really appreciate it. Everybody should go check it out. It's linked in the video description and podcast show notes. The second part of Will's question: why did you start supporting the clubs you support? So, Christian, let's go to you first.
Oh man, which one? Is this like our top one, or?
Hey, however you want to answer the question. You can do
that. Let me bring back Christian's corner then. So, yeah, well, Liverpool is my number one team, if you guys didn't figure that out by now. I started supporting them I actually didn't follow sports too closely, as Matt and Dave can attest, until later on in high school. But I started really loving Liverpool during that 08-09 season, probably. Dave had me watching a couple Champions League games. I remember watching the Chelsea game and feeling heartbreak after that. But I also watched the Real Madrid and the Manchester United games where they just smoked them. That is really when I fell in love with Liverpool and Gerrard and Alonso and that whole team and Torres. That really was like the time I started to fall in love with Liverpool. And then obviously the Union came into the league the year after that. So I've been following Philadelphia Union because I'm from Philadelphia. And, yep, they break my heart over and over again, but I love them all the same. And Barcelona, I just loved the way Pep Guardiola put that team together. Again, 08-09. That team was probably a trend-setting team. Like, they completely changed the game at that time, and people will remember that team forever just because of how they played. And Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi really made me love Barcelona. But as they all start to retire, my love for Barcelona is also starting to retire.
Matt, how'd you get to be a fan of City?
Yeah, so I'm a Manchester City fan. When I was younger, I didn't follow soccer like too closely, like the coverage. I mean, I remember games like being on when I came out from school every once in a while on ESPN, like the Monday games or something like that. But I didn't follow it closely. So through FIFA, I liked Sean Wright Phillips, the Manchester City winger, because he was like 5'6" and I was like 12 at the time. So, you always had a soft spot for the little guy. I liked Manchester City's colors and just loved Sean Wright Phillips. And that's just kind of – and then they ended up –
Matt likes money.
Yeah, then they ended up being bought, which I had like no idea like that was going to be that big of a deal. And then it became, the powerhouse.
All right. Noob, which teams do you support?
I'm going to go a little noob on this one. I don't really have a favorite team necessarily, but this is for one of the regular guys that you have out there who contributes and listens. This is for Tottenham World. Tottenham Hotspur World.
Yep.
I tell you what team that I like the most, and it's whoever's playing Tottenham Hotspur.
Ooh.
I don't understand. You guys know who they're named for?
Yes.
14th century nobleman Harry Percy, who backstabbed the king, even though he was a nobleman, was an earl, and then he helped get a different guy on the throne. And it's just because that king was supporting his son in Wales, he backstabbed another king. That guy was a cretinous Yahoo. He was a nefarious ne'er-do-well. My favorite team is whoever is playing Tottenham Hotspur.
All right.
Why do you name a soccer club after a Benedict Arnold? I don't understand it.
An Arsenal fan over there.
Yeah.
Yes, Arsenal, go fight and win.
All right. Will, I'm not sure if that's what you were expecting, but there you have it. For me, I support the Union Philadelphia team. That's honestly the team I support the most. Just being from the city of Philadelphia, I joined the Sons of Ben in 2007 before there was a team, and I've been there from the early days. And then Liverpool from 2005 with the Champions League and the comeback and all of that. So that's kind of the backstory behind that. And I think that is all. Soccernoob, I know you had a question for us here. Do you want to address this, or do we want to just wrap things up here?
What was my question?
What on earth possesses the three of you offering such a quality show to invite a guest on who professes not knowing anything?
Yeah, the question I wrote, I guess basically the best way to phrase that is, what were you thinking?
Well, I am a huge fan, like I've said many times, of your writing. And again, I think you do such a good job of blending the humor with just content that would be interesting to, I think, all types of soccer fans. So we consider ourselves to be, pretty hardcore soccer fans. And I still learn stuff from your writing because I don't, follow every league. The great thing about soccer is it's so broad and it's going on all over the world. And I think you do a great job of covering it, with your own weird little twist. So I highly recommend, checking out your stuff.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'll let folks know, including you then, if you like soccer writing that's not about soccer, I've started doing features, sandwich reviews. I'm about to start up one that I call Stolen Mailbag, where I answer questions that were written into other sports or news programs and answer them in my own noob ways. And I'm packing my bags and heading overseas. I'm starting exclusive coverage of the Isle of Sodor Premier League this month, and so I'm going to have a whole subpage devoted to that.
All right, so definitely check out his stuff. Again, it's linked in the podcast show notes and video description. Christian, back over to you for our trivia question. We'll give our guesses.
All right, trivia question this week is, of all the teams Brazil have played in their history, there is one team that they've played, and fun fact, they've played them 4 times, that they have not beaten. Do you know which international team that would be? Matt,
Noob.
go to you.
Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, let's go to you first. Matt Noob.
Oh, Matt Noob, not Matt Brother Talking Soccer. I'm gonna guess longtime former powerhouse Uruguay.
Okay. Matt. No, Dave.
So I'm gonna say I know the answer, and when you say it, I'm gonna get you frustrated. But I'm gonna say Scotland. I'm gonna say Scotland.
Okay.
I'm gonna say like one. I'm gonna say Russia. Just Russia.
Okay. Interesting. None of you are right.
Yeah.
Is it Wales or like Northern Ireland?
It is Norway.
Norway. Okay. Nope. Then never mind.
4 times, and they have 2 wins and 2 draws for Norway in those 4 matches.
Interesting. So listeners, hopefully you did better on that trivia than we all did, and hopefully you learned something today. If you liked what you heard, please consider leaving us a review on your podcasting platform of choice. It really, really helps us out, and we greatly appreciate that. So, please consider doing that. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but we developed shirts. They are on sale until November 8th. The way that this works is they're on sale for a set period of time, and once the sales close, those shirts are gone, and they're long sleeve tees. Again, they have our faces silhouetted on them with a sketch that I did one morning. I just had an idea. I'm not really artistic, but I'm actually really kind of happy and proud with how it turned out. And so please consider please consider buying it if you have the means, and it would just really, really help us out. And we would greatly appreciate that. If you want to get in contact with us, our Twitter's at BT Soccer Pod. Our email is bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. And we have a website, brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com, where you can read about us, check out past episodes. And if you want to support the show in another way, if you're buying anything on Amazon, go to our store link and click off of the Amazon link that we have on that page. We get a small percentage of whatever you end up buying on Amazon. Again, no additional cost to you, and it just helps us out. And, we would just greatly appreciate it. Christian, thanks for being here.
Dave, it is my pleasure as always.
Matt, thanks for being here.
Thank you, David.
Soccernoob, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. I hope you had fun. I know I did, and hopefully my brothers did as well.
Thank you for tolerating my shenanigans. You guys have been wonderful hosts.
All right. Listeners, thank you so much for being here, and we will be back with another episode next week. Thanks, everybody. See ya. All right, people of YouTube, thank you for tuning in and watching. There you got Jesus signing off. I don't know when he's going to wear it. Thank you so much for being here. And the podcast will be out within the next few hours. It's on iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of those. Please go check it out. See ya, Christian and Matt. And wow, we got a bunch of new viewers. I'm sorry. So we have 4 viewers right now. Hello, welcome. We are wrapping things up. But if you have if you have anything from the soccer world that you want us to talk about, send us a quick message here before we sign off. We just covered a bunch of topics. We covered the Ballon d'Or voting. We covered Messi and Ronaldo not being in the El Clasico, Mourinho and Chelsea whole thing, DC United's playoff chances, and Bayern. So again, look for that podcast episode coming out within the next few hours. And looks like we're not getting any comments here, so I'm going to end the broadcast. But again, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the Bros Talking Soccer podcast website and look at our shirts. If you like what you see there, we would appreciate it if you buy one. All right, everybody. Talk to you. See ya.